The grid for this one is a reverse top 10. So David Cedars, the race 1 winner, drew number 10 out of the barrel. So Cameron McConville owes him a Bundaberg rum.
Yeah, exactly right, or maybe even a Jim Beam.
Oh, I can see that coming again. So Cedars is back to position 10. Jack Elgood, let's talk about him. Former champ, struggling. He's got a new engine on board. He tested at Eastern Creek. He was really fast. He expected to win this weekend, but he had a fuel pressure problem in qualifying and just hasn't been able to get through there.
Yeah, and really, it's really been, I guess, the story of Jack's year. We just haven't been accustomed to seeing him up the front like we have in years gone by.
Down the field, Gary Hill's making his Ute debut. Peter Burnett, despite that car being smashed into in race 1, it is a little bent, but it's on the grid. Craig Dontas is at the back of the grid as a penalty for the contact with Brad Patton from that first race. The VIP Pet Foods Ford is done for the weekend. McConville and Gary Baxter on the front row of the grid, 7 laps ahead in race 2 of the weekend at Bathurst. Pretty even jump between the entire top 10. McConville has the line though. Bit of a rub with Baxter.
Two very experienced guys, obviously at the front of the field. Cameron McConville, hugely experienced in V8 supercars, and Gary Baxter, likewise, but in V8 Utes.
Up the mountain, and this track has really been a Ford track in years gone by. They've won 5 rounds to Holden's 2, and a few Holden drivers making a few grumbles that their cars are just not running quick enough here at Bathurst to beat the Fords. But at the moment, it's McConville in a Holden, Baxter in a Holden, Johnson in a Holden, and Ryle Harris the best of the Fords.
It doesn't really seem to be going too bad for the Holden guys at the moment, but I do recall the last round at Townsville was dominated by Holdens. Nathan Pretty now in his Monster Energy Holden, up the outside of the cutting, not the place you want to be.
And he slots back into the queue. Andrew Fisher just in the Jesus Ford. There's Charlie O'Brien chasing down Jack Elgood. Now, we saw a bit of bumping with he and Ryle Harris in race 1. Apparently, that continued into Parc Ferme after the race, a bit of WWE.
Oh, I'm not sure I would have wanted to have been a part of that. Charlie is a pretty broad across the shoulders type of guy, so I'm sure Ryle might have been a bit sheepish.
Across the top, McConville. He's driving with James Courtney for the Toll Holden Racing team. This weekend, Ryle Harris, we've seen plenty of guys in V8 practice go out through the grass and end up in the wall. He was very nearly the next.
Well, whatever might have happened in Parc Ferme between him and Charlie O'Brien, it looks like he's certainly fired up for this second race.
Love listening to the growl of the V8 Utes. There's Ryle Harris. VIP Pet Foods Ford has been a consistent runner in the championship this year. Let's see if he's got the pace to deal with these 3 Commodores. Replay off the start. Kim Jane, we're right on board with the pacemaker in car, and there's nowhere for him to go. Even if he got a really good start, there's no road.
Virtually identical starts for all the guys, particularly Baxter and McConville. McConville, a bit of a break now. Johnson and Harris up the inside into the chase.
And look at the right front on car number 1. If anything, Johnson's being helped into the chase. Question is, does he get help coming out?
Fisher up the inside of Pretty now. Oh, had to use all the curb to stay off Pretty, and now his teammate Cedars is going to get a run on him into the final corner.
I get worried when the Jesus car and the monster car are on the road together.
And Harris up the inside of Johnson for 2nd position.
Fisher up the inside of Cedars, and Elgood gets into the side of the number 8 car. But they managed to play on.
Now, Jack's done the right thing there. He realised that he got in the back of Cedars, so he didn't take an advantage out of that. He slotted back in behind Cedars for the run up the hill.
Here's Marcus Jukanovic in the red and blue Auto 1 wildcard ute. Alan Letcher, Warren Millett, Ben Dunn, who did a tail shaft on lap 2 of qualifying and started way back. Gary Carson, the new FG, is not going at the moment.
Not a good sight to see, that's for sure. Hopefully the guys can get that turned around for the last race.
We're going to see that car next year in the V8 Ute Series. Bit of a test session for the last few rounds. Back on board with Kim Jane in the Bob Jane T-Marts Commodore up the mountain. This is where the long climb is. This is the steepest part of this mountain.
This is certainly where you need the horsepower under the bonnet, that's for sure, Aaron. Pither now right up behind Ryan Hansford, of course. Ryan, the son of the late, great Greg Hansford, the 93 winner with Larry Perkins.
Marcus Jukanovic not winning here or anything, though, through the grass. Auto 1 replay. And isn't it strange? 5 years ago, he was dominating. He was winning everything in that black Ford, Black Betty they called it, but it just shows you the level that's stepped up. We know Marcus is a really good driver. He's proved it in Utes and in Fujitsu Series, but the level in Ute racing has stepped up in 5 years, and Harris now looking for the lead. That's a big lunge, and he bangs McConville in the door, but he gets it done.
very lucky to get away with that, to be honest, and it took a bit of cooperation from Cameron. All those years of experience probably allowed him to see that coming. But Harris, he's certainly showing plenty of speed. We know he's got a fast car because he was on pole position by over half a second. So in V8 Utes terms, that's a huge margin. So let's see if he can stretch his lead now into the chase. Fastest corner in the country for any car.
And look at these things just dance over.
Oh, look at that, Charlie O'Brien.
Jack Elgood, it won't stop on grass. This can only be bad. Oh, he nearly wiped out O'Brien. Backwards into the sand. He didn't hit anyone. I can't believe it.
He's very lucky to be still on four wheels, to be honest. Woo. James Courtney having a bit of a laugh in the garage.
Well, Simon McNamara, motorsport manager from Holden's, laughing because it's a Ford.
I might leave that one alone, Noons.
Spoken like a true Ford man. Somehow, hang on a sec, McConville's back in front. Something's happened here. While we were lost in the sand with Jack Elgood, McConville's got back to the lead, and now Johnson is chasing Harris. So
Ryle might have just made a slight mistake under brakes into the last corner, run wide, and that's given Cameron the opportunity to sneak back in the lead.
McConville new to the Ute Series this year. Auto 1 replay.
This is crazy.
Oh, this was unbelievable. How he did not hit Charlie O'Brien, I will never, ever, ever, ever know.
And I'm sure, yeah, look, so Charlie's gone up the inside, got sideways, sort of forced Jack out onto the grass. And once you're on the grass, especially with all the rain we've had here at Bathurst over the weekend, Jack was just a passenger and couldn't do anything about that.
And going in backwards was probably the best thing.
Yeah, absolutely, apart from not being able to see where you're going. Another view here on board with Jack. Yeah, just out wide over the bumps, and like we said, the car actually picks up pace on the wet grass, and extremely lucky that nobody was seriously hurt in that incident.
And nor was our microphone, by the way. Understandable, though, with such a high speed off. Harris, though, is tucked in to the slipstream of Cam McConville's Bundy Commodore, and the Walkinshaw Racing Runmobile has not won a race. This is actually Ryle's old Commodore, just repainted in black. It's had a bit of work in the off-season as well, but maybe he's traded up to a Ford. One
thing for sure, that VIP Ford has shown plenty of pace down the straight, so good to see the Ford horsepower coming into play.
We have a change for the lead in race 2, round 5 in the Auto 1 V8 Utes, protected by Armour All. Ryle Harris has got his way back in front of Cameron McConville on the run to the checkered flag. 2 laps left to go, and Kim Jane here with the pacemaker on board, looking back at Nathan Pretty.
And David Cedars here is on the charge, fastest man on the circuit. Of course, won our first race, so let's see if he can pick up another couple of spots in these final 2 laps.
Kim Jane has got good history here. Runner-up in 08, runner-up in 09 at this track. And I should say too, this car's had a total rebuild since the last round at Townsville, which was quite some time ago now. These guys have had a bit of chance to get themselves ready for the mountain. But this is Gary Baxter, P4. Chris Pither, who's fresh from the Denny Ute muster. I don't know that you can do circle work here today, but look at Pretty up the inside on Kim Jane.
And Aaron, we've had a close championship battle all year in V8 Utes, and it's good to see that all the contenders, the top 4 contenders, are all fighting it out in the top 10 in this race. It's so hard for somebody to get an advantage in this championship. So Pither, Jane, we see Pretty going through the cutting, David Cedars. They're all going as hard as they can, trying to get every little bit out of these V8 Utes.
And David Cedars has had a few motor issues in that number 8 car this weekend. Just having a little bit of a struggle, but got to say too, congratulations to the Cedars clan. They've welcomed another addition, Indiana, a young daughter born since the last round. So with the way that the lineage in the Cedars family goes, we'll see her in a Ute in about 18 years' time, I reckon.
Wow, certainly doesn't seem to be slowing David down, that's for sure. But Ryle Harris still out in front doing a great job, but focusing on this little battle pack now here. Pither, he's the one that's got to be careful. Gary Baxter hasn't had a good year in the championship. He doesn't have anything to lose at the moment. But Pither, he's got the lights on. It looks like he's setting him up for a bit of a pass. Coming on to Conrod Straight, on board now with Peter Burnett. Good to see him back out after that frightening accident in race 1.
This is the Century battery in-car, and I'm glad it's in-car, because if it was on-car, it would have got knocked off in the last race. Have a look at that. The camera is not tilted. That's the car that's sort of a bit out of whack.
Yeah. Understandable after the vision we saw of Peter getting hit. Here we go, Pither up the inside now. Baxter obviously got a good run out of Forest Elbow, and nice and easily done. Gary didn't fight the issue too hard there.
And Pither here came in this weekend, I should say, as the championship leader. Baxter is 14th in the points, so yes, he's racing him in this race, but in the bigger picture, no, he's not racing car 3.
No, exactly right. And Gary's experienced enough to race hard but fair, and probably at the same time doesn't want to get anybody's championship battle, because if he was in the same situation, he wouldn't want it to happen to him. But Kim J now up the inside into turn 1. He should have a good position to be able to get this pass done. But Baxter now holding on around the outside, and this will actually give Gary the line up the hill. But he won't need it because he's getting a bit of a shove from Nathan Pretty.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a gap there. Someone needed to fill it, and Nate was the man. So experienced when it comes to endurance racing, a winner of the 24-hour race in the Monaro back in 02, and a long-time co-driver for the annual V8 endurance races, but has adapted pretty well to the sprint stuff. He is getting stuck into it.
Well, as we mentioned, sitting 5th in the championship is nothing to be sneezed at. And like you said, Nathan's a very solid competitor. He's been around for years now and always does a credible job.
This is the climb through the cutting. Just behind there, Ryan Hansford is just tacking onto the back of this little freight train that is at the tail of the top 10.
And Ryan's one of our 7 Bathurst V8 Ute rookies. Raced here last year in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Development Series, so this will be a bit of a different experience for him up on the mountain in a V8 Ute.
Moffat, Hansford. I think I've heard that one somewhere before.
Oh, well, Dad and Greg, Ryan's dad, obviously shared some success together, so it's good to see Ryan out there racing as well.
Ryle Harris, he's not racing, he is dominating. Look at the gap he has pulled on Cameron McConville. If you can pull a gap on McConk like that at Bathurst, you're going well.
Well, certainly is. It's almost like somebody's fed Ryle the angry pills this weekend. He's been very aggressive, but you know, he's doing the business now. Final lap.
Or he's ducked into the VIP Pet Foods Bowl. Either way.
Well, hopefully he hasn't, but you know, he's doing a great job. This obviously won't do his championship any harm. So you know, fantastic to see him. This will be his first race win at Bathurst, so this will be a very special moment for him.
Into the chase for the final time. Grant Johnson's thing, ducking and diving, Pretty and Baxter side by side, but they cannot stop the Ford. This is going to be 2 race wins for Ford so far this weekend. Cedars took the first. Ryle Harris is going to snag the second. Remember, he started from 6th on the grid, and he has just been too good. Lights on, the Queenslander likes it, we like it. He takes race 2, McConville's second. 3rd is Grant Johnson. 4th will be Pither, and then Pretty Baxter, chucking only just. Cedars next with the fastest lap of the race.
Well, Aaron, there was no shortage of action in that race, so I think we're set up for a fantastic final race to the weekend. Andrew Fisher finishes 10th, but our race winner, Ryle Harris, pulls back more points on the championship leader.
Ryle, some great racing to claim that win.
Yes, disastrous start in the first one. I'm still kicking myself, but yeah, no, it's good to get a win for the boys. I've worked hard, and we've had a bit of an unfortunate weekend with my teammates being involved in incidents. It's looking good for the championship now. I just don't want to make any mistakes and bring it home in one piece tomorrow, and hopefully there's no rain.
And while Harris was seeing the checkered flag, Jack Elgood was seeing nothing but sand.
Well, Jack, a scary moment.
Yeah, it wasn't the way that I'd planned that race to go, but yeah, pretty tricky situation. I was on the outside, didn't realise Charlie was there until it was too late. Tried to go through there full noise, obviously, and a little bit too wide, and no grip out there, unfortunately, and then there's even less when you hit the grass, and yeah, it was quite a ride. I mean, I think everyone should have a moment like that in their life. It makes you realise that you're alive.